The first speaker, Dr. Kalyani, Chatterjea from Humanity and Social Studies Education. She will share with us the app on mobile job.
Good afternoon, everyone. I guess the first slide that you see up there tells you who I am. But the thing is, I need to tell you about an application that was jointly developed by CeL and me, has got nothing to do with geography. So if you are not a person who loves geography, if you're a person who hates geography, or if you're a person who has smelled geography somewhere and you would like to forget it, doesn't matter, you can still use this application for your use. So I'll take you through some of the details of the application, and after that we will have hopefully a little bit of time to try out. Okay, so that should keep you awake. Okay, the name of the application is mGeo. We had to fight for this name. There were several suggestions and trials, but it has to be registered as a name that is not taken up by anyone. And putting NIE in front tells everyone where the application came from. So it was a good choice of names. And it does basically what the next line says, tries to erase the boundaries of learning. I thought that's a good tagline as educationists, right? And as I told you, it's a joint venture between Center of E-Learning at NIE and myself. Couple of things about NIE mGeo. I'll go through the why, the what, the how, and so what of the development. Now comes the pedagogical reasons for developing such an application. You see, coming from geography, we do a lot of field work, and field work requires data, a lot of data accumulation, collection, and dissemination. So dissemination from different sources requires collaborative work. Development of the data source as well as sharing the data among the users. So collaboration, sharing becomes a big requirement for our work. And therefore that leads to a system, or rather leads to the requirement for a system where there is an effective sharing facility. Also, as anyone, not just a geographer, as I said, historian or botanist or anybody who is doing social sciences or actual sciences would like to be spatially located, because you really need to know where you are in LT2, for instance, in case you've forgotten. So you need to be geospatially referenced at all time. And so that was one of the major requirements. And something that we always want to have, whether we are using IT or not, is that a requirement for the learner to be totally at ease. Something that the learner doesn't have to learn to go through the technique, because we want them to be actually engrossed in the learning activity and not so much on the jumping on the different types of technologies that we use. So those were the requirements and those were the whys. Now some of the things that come with geography fieldwork or any other scientific fieldwork are some equipment. In this case, we have some IT and system requirements for collecting data. These are just some of the equipment that students have to use in order to collect data and to analyze it later. And then along with that, you have the affordances which are available right now in the market. You have digital cameras to take photographs and other evidences. And actually, I was telling you about the geospatial reference. Some of the cameras do come with geotagging nowadays. So technology is always changing, and there are these new facilities which are built in the existing systems. However, they don't always think like geographers do or fieldwork personnel do, and they don't record any data, quantitative data. Neither do they have any sharing facility for sharing the knowledge. These digital cameras I'm talking about, this is taken from the search engine, and these are the results with cameras with geotagging. Then of course technology, as I said, doesn't stop. So there is actually an equipment in the market already out, which is a Samsung camera which gives internet connection. So you have not only you have a camera with geotagging, you also have another camera, mind you, with having the internet connection. So if you are going there to take a picture and geotag it, you also need to share, you have to take another camera. So it's like, you need to have several equipment. and none of them can have data recording facility. About sharing, not just putting up on internet, you need people to see it. So there are file sharing sites which we use all the time to share the data among all our students, among all our colleagues, among our friends and so on. But then these file sharing sites basically share the file. They don't collect data, they don't give you geospatial reference, so all those facilities are not there. So I'm not really getting what I want to do in one piece of equipment. And that's when we thought that we should develop we should find a system, for instance, which gives us all the facilities. Look at this. This phone is one equipment without much fuss. Everybody has a phone, knows how to use a phone, even a 1-year-old knows how to use a phone these days. No learning curve, therefore. No extra running cost. Everybody has it anyway, so you don't have to go and buy an equipment to be able to use it. Easy to hold and carry. Believe me, in the field, it's very important that it's very small, very light, and very easy to carry. It's pervasive. Everybody has it. And it allows free thinking and expression in the terms of making it customizable. That means it allows you to have your requirements built into that system. So it's a very smart equipment, and of course, we in NIE, being smart people, which make a smart choice. So we chose that. And however, in the market there are different types of smartphones. So which one do we choose? Now the fact remains that whichever is the platform, it doesn't really matter as long as it gives us what we want. So we decided to go for iPhone, developing an application on iPhone, basically because most of our students have iPhone. I was in a class one day, and then all of a sudden it occurred to me that everybody is using a laptop, and there are lit up apples, half-eaten apples all over the place. Yeah? So that tells us that this is a very pervasive equipment that everybody has. The reason why I say to my dismay is because I don't use an iPhone. I use Android. And that's why I was hoping that I would get an iPad this morning, but I didn't. But anyway, the application is developed on iPhone, and I had a very, very long wish list. I wanted, whatever application we develop, I wanted these features. It must geotag the photographs and videos. It must be able to have input facilities for quantitative data with a customizable format. Because one day I'm going to the river, another day I'm going to the forest, another day I'm going to a historical building, another day I'm going to Marina Barrage. The data sets will be very different. So I wanted customizable format. I wanted qualitative input facility, qualitative descriptions, that is. Then observer comments as well, not just description, what the observer feels. So that gives a very big freedom to the person who's using it. And after that, of course, remember, they are all collectively collecting data, so they have to be able to share the data. So this sharing was a very important requirement. However, as I was telling you about the geospatial reference, all the data that we get, all these things that I'm doing right now, up to now, is possible with a pen and paper and a camera. However, the pen and paper and the camera doesn't give me everything in terms of putting it on a map with a geospatial reference. That means I take a photograph and I need to know where the photograph was taken and where the different data sets were generated from. So that puts me right on the spot on that particular location. So I wanted that in this application. And of course, any data uploading and all that needs editing. So editing options were given to the data generator. However, all the other sharing groups would only have viewing options, because otherwise it messes up things. You know, I put up data and everybody else comes and puts, instead of 3, they put 9, and it looks very different, right? So you only allow view only to the people who are sharing the data. And of course, the lecturer must have the full control over viewing and editing and everything else. So the lecturer is the god, right? Okay. So what we aimed for finally was individuals or groups to be able to work at geographically separated locations. Mind you, the backdrop was I wanted this application to be developed definitely before a group of about 20 plus students that I was taking to India for a field trip of 2 weeks. And so there was a time frame within which the work had to be done. And of course, they will be in different places when they are out in the field. So those controlled my requirements. And so The individuals or the groups will be working in geographically separated locations. They will be collecting different types of data, either synchronously or asynchronously, doesn't matter, different types of data. That means different data types will be inputted into the system. Then after that, they should be able to share the data and create a vast pool of data. The reason is one person can only collect maybe about 20 or 30 sets of data at any one time. Multiply that by 20, it becomes 30 multiplied by 20. You do the maths. You know how many data sets will be generated. And that is very essential for doing a very good analysis. So we need very vast pool of data sets. And to do this with geospatial reference for an authentic understanding of the issues. Like, for instance, we went to 3 rivers. Each of those 3 rivers were different. So they have to know this data comes from this particular place, which is located at this lat and long, and therefore they know exactly why the river is different from, the river number 2 is different from river number 1 and river number 3. And most importantly, I was going to the remotest of places in very deep mountain valleys, in very deep ravines, which were away from even villages. So something I need as a power tool that gives me the power to input the data and keep it there for sharing later on. The wish was a very big one, and thankfully it was materialized. And what was born was mGeo, NIE mGeo. As I said, we toyed with several names, so if I make a mistake in between, please pardon me for that. But it looks like this, which is good. We have the world, we have NIE, very big way in the world, and we have Geo, because that's what gives me identity, and M is for mobile. So we have everything in one, just like the application actually has a lot of things in one. Now, obviously, this massive thing can only be developed by some people who have worked very, very hard. And you can see 2 names. They're sitting right in front. Thank you very much, Bernard and Evelyn. And they are from CeL. And of course, not to forget the other members of CeL who have been extremely patient with my extremely high-pitched wish list. And they have delivered, and everything went totally bug-free. And of course, I couldn't have done this without my 4th-year students who, these are all true, they were sitting and standing for hours together in very cold waters, sometimes 10 degrees centigrade, and boats which were rocking about 45 degrees, and they were still taking data for themselves, not for me, but at least they did it. So these were some of the students. Now the thing is, the first version has been tried out already. So I can stand here and say with confidence that this thing does work very well. Okay, and we are going to look at future versions, but that's later. So right now they are using it massively for their report writing, and that says that it's a very live application. Now let's go through the how to use it. You can actually use, take 3 photographs. We had to draw a line. So for any particular place, you can take 3 photographs and a video. And once you take the photographs, you can actually add things like data, which is customizable in any form. It will accept whatever form you put it in. And then you have the description, which is verbal description, textual description. And you have additional information also. And then, of course, it has to be uploaded. But the fine thing is, it can only be uploaded when there is a Wi-Fi connection. Because in the middle of the mountains, you can't expect internet to be there. And of course, you can't use roaming. It's massively expensive, right? So we don't want roaming to be used, we don't want internet to be used, and still we want to share it over the internet. So that was the reason why we said, okay, we are not going to stay in the mountains all our lives, so we are going to come back to some place where there's going to be some internet, and Wi-Fi was the best choice because that's uninterrupted connection. And so it can only be uploaded to the server which NI has using the Wi-Fi. And of course, so these are the steps. You add the photo, or rather you take the photo and the details are there, and this is the photo, and then you have the textual information like title, location. Title can be anything like your site number, etc., and the author, and the details are here, and some descriptions. Then pin the location on the map, and automatically, of course, because the picture is geotagged, it automatically pins itself on that particular location, and you can see that the descriptions are, all there. And then, of course, you can give your comments. You can leave the learner can actually leave the comments in there, that I'm dying in cold and still I have to use this, but it works. That kind of a comment. Anything could be there. Then coming back to the hotel or wherever internet cafe is there, you can upload the data to the server and list all the data. Now, data can be uploaded when internet connection is available. But before that and after that, the data still remains in the phone. In case you made a mistake, in case it's not uploaded properly, it's still there, very safe in your phone. Of course, if you lose it, then it's your problem. But if you don't lose it, it's there for you. Okay? And the good part also is that comments can be added later. So if you have forgotten, oh, I remember now, I can do it. All right, then back to your ranch, you can actually upload the data to the server, and then you can view it in either list mode like this or in the map mode. That means if it's the list, all the data that's listed, that is there will be listed for you. And you have the title and the latitude and longitude, there you go. The descriptions, the physical data if there is any, and if there is none, it just stays empty. And a date and time and taken, and who is the author, that means who is actually uploading the data, all things there. And it could also be seen in the map mode. And then the groups have access to edit only their own data. Or if it's individual, the individual will only have the ability to edit. The rest of it is only read, only view, only kind of thing. Okay? And all information uploaded, however, can be used by everyone who is in that particular course. And the sources, which are very important, will be cited. Because you can access somebody else's data, there's no problem when you're working in a very big group, but you must always acknowledge where you have gotten the data or the picture and so on. So that we thought was very important. And of course, you can see it like the photographs. You can blow up the photographs and you have all the data related to the photographs in there, like this. So if you don't understand what is the meaning of bigger sediments deposited, here you go, you have a photograph which shows that the bigger sediments. And actually the scale is pretty simple. You can do any kind of thing. You can even put a ruler and take a photograph, and so the scale can be easily quantified from there. If you give a description, maybe the description is not really quite intelligible to others, but the photograph tells you what it is. So photograph basically does the job of a guide for that particular place. So then Google Earth, the savior of all, the ultimate tool for doing any kind of geospatial study. So the data is mounted on Google Earth for establishing a spatial reference. Now look at this. One study site was here, another was here, another was here, and they were actually quite distantly located. When you go up there, you blow it up, and that's what you see. So what you have is different color codes. Now each of these colored pins belong to the data from one group. So when you have 3 or 4 or 7 or 20 groups, it doesn't matter. Each of them have different colors. So for the lecturer knows, okay, this data is generated by this group. For the person who's using it, that means the learner knows, okay, this is my group's data, the other one is the other group's data. And that becomes very useful because you can see the whole data has been developed collaboratively, and the whole class has actually cooperated together to make use of this facility as well as to use it for learning. That's another site. The other one I showed you for this side. This one is for this side, so you have different colors for different groups. Then on Google Earth, you can click on a photograph, and the photographs come click on a pin rather, and the photographs come along with descriptions. Descriptions like river stop along Himalayas, field data is temperature 16.2 degrees, relative humidity 60%, altitude was 890 meters, wind speed was this. So this is all the recorded data that the students did, and you can see everything with reference to the place. And now that's very important, with reference to exactly the location in the valley, and that way they would be able to explain why one place is like this, why the other place is different. You can have different types of pictures. And what happens is, look at this, there is a comment box. So anybody can go there and actually upload the comment. So it will be shown to the next person, and the comments are all listed. Comments can be left by others, comments can be left by the actual user, comments can be left by the lecturer. The students make a mistake, I can go in and actually comment on the mistakes that they have made and so on. So that makes it very useful. Very detailed site descriptions makes the photograph more authentic and also can be used for references. Now therefore, mGeo superimposes all the affordances that we have at our disposal, and what we do is, let's say the first one, data is collected by using a thermometer or anything really, any kind of equipment that we use in the field, and then the photos are taken by iPhone, of course. But the funny thing is, or rather the good thing is, location is tagged by using mGeo. Okay, the iPhone has a tagging facility, but mGeo makes it, or rather facilitates it to be attached to a certain map and uploaded on Google Earth using mGeo web page. And then, of course, the sharing of the knowledge is using mGeo as well. So mGeo is quite pervasive in its usage, in its affordances that it has built in. Now, the thing is, this is feedback from what has happened. The application ran without any bugs, thanks to CeL. They really worked very, very hard. And I have to thank them over and over again for doing such a fantastic job, because usually the first cut always comes with bugs. And I have used these kind of things many times before, and it does come with bugs. And this was quite a complicated development, and they did a fantastic job. And what happened was, the students who used this facility actually gave very good feedback, because there were no bugs. So they didn't have to say, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, it is troublesome, it is very boring. Nothing of that sort. They were all very, very positive about it. And however, even though they are very satisfied, I'm not. You know why? Because it still hasn't given me the full handle. I still need more handle. I want something where I can draw a sketch, because for a geographer, for anybody who is doing field investigation, drawing a sketch is very, very important. Or even put some hand inputs, like, okay, I want this, make a 5-star mark or 2-star mark or circle something. Now that is something that cannot be done in iPhone. So we are looking for upgrades. So watch out for upgrades. We are definitely going to have one or more. And for now, what is there is very workable. So if you have an iPhone, unfortunately I don't, but if you have one, I am reminding everybody that I don't have iPhone. That's because I'm really aiming to have one. But anyway, if you have iPhone, you can try this website right now and do whatever you want to do with it. And or if you don't have one now, you can maybe take a photograph and try it out later. And if there are any school teachers here, then what I have just spoken to our colleagues in CeL, and schools will be able to use NIE website if you really need to. So if you're interested, do write to, okay, I don't have my email here, but do approach me at the end of the talk, and I'll give you my email. You can approach me, and then we'll do the talking, and then see that the school is able to use this. Would like to get some feedbacks from you. Thank you very much.